Is on. Mic is good. Mic check. Okay. Instagram. For anybody in here, thank you for your patience. All right. We're going to talk about some big points today. Psychological and economic traps of the 9 to 5 itself, kind of the inefficiencies within the system, and how many different topics that affects. And I'm going to go into depth about with some actual data here. So let's get into it. I think many employees feel stuck in this trap of the 9 to 5 where they're trading time for money with kind of minimal personal growth. You don't really grow a lot in a job, and a lot of times your labor is very specialized to that company. It's almost like a lot of times the way that things are set up is you're not really encouraged to go out and to progress your skills independently. Now, some companies, right, the military that I've been in, rewards you and kind of has that requirement where you should be developing yourself. But most people stay in unfulfilling jobs for the stability, right? Especially nowadays, the steady paycheck, the benefits, even as it stalls their dreams. High burnout and disengagement statistics, right? Example, Gallup polling, if you guys don't know, they're the people that find all the big stats in the polls. They find that having a job you hate can be worse for your well being than being unemployed. It's actually better to be unemployed than be in a job you don't like. And then not only that, but we have consumer culture and debt like student loans and mortgages, this apt look at people taking out loans to finance their life can pressure people to stay in the grind because now you have obligations. And it creates this psychological trap of dependency on the next paycheck. So that's kind of the psychological traps as a whole. People become dependent on different outlets, right? They tie themselves down to use leverage in the wrong way because their leverage isn't using other people to help them. It's becoming indebted to banks who are giving them money. It's become indebting to corporations who they need to fund their retirement, things like that, to even give them time off. And it's hard. Let's talk about the system itself in terms of work. So traditional corporate models tend to not align with individual well-being. For example, worker productivity has far outpaced wages. Productivity rose 70% since 1979, while wages rose only 12%. That's not my opinion, guys. That's a fact. But it feels like an opinion because that just inherently doesn't feel right to me. I would assume it wouldn't feel right to you, right? If productivity increased 80%, but the pay associated with it increased only 12% since 79, that means that workers aren't reaping proportional rewards to the output, right? So who is the question. Only 21% of global employees are engaged at work. Nearly 77% of people are not engaged. They're kind of just like zoned out, right? And there's this phenomena, according to Gallup, called quiet quitting, which is 6 in 10 employees, which basically are like people that aren't in it for the culture. They don't really want to be there. They're just there because they're getting a paycheck. This indicates an inefficient system. Every time you have workers, especially the majority of workers who don't want to be there, guys, what does that sound like to you? Instead of workers openly choosing a job, workers that stay stuck in a job because it's the only thing they have, even though they probably don't want to be there. That doesn't sound like an efficient system to me. And it runs on compliance rather than passion. It wastes human potential. Let's talk about education. The education system hasn't kept pace with the skills needed for digital age opportunities. Many graduates are leaving college with significant debt. The US student loan debt is about $1.7 trillion right now. Yet, most feel unprepared. Only about 40% of college age seniors felt that their college prepared them for a career. So now we're seeing stats like 2 in 5 college students, less than the majority, less than what you should expect, feel like they're prepared. Which saying that college is not preparing students, and it's also created an environment where people don't feel like they can adequately learn. There's a practical skills gap. For example, employers report new grads often lack job ready skills. So whatever the fuck college students are learning is not applicable to the job they're going to be performing, because universities don't have a realistic view of what students should be doing. And then they're just charging them, they're swiping they're making sure the check clears, and then they don't really care about educating you the way we used to. Again, this is pretty much fact. This is very little opinion in this statement, because I'm just telling you the stats of how these things are looking nowadays. This section underscores, and the point I want to make here is that the standard path, the degree to the 9 to 5 job, is not as secure or efficient as promised, and it leaves people ill-equipped and financially unprepared and burdened, right? Because you have to take on loans, you have to find outlets to help you get the money you need for bigger purchases. If you want to buy that house, you have to go to a bank. You can't save up your money like you could in the old days. And a lot of that, right? Like, guys, your parents are great. Parents are wonderful, but you have to stop listening to your parents. Your parents grew up in a time that was completely different from now. They grew up in the 70s, right? Where the output matched the wages of companies a lot more. But now there's this inequality factor that changes the dynamic of the calculation of, do you go to college, right? Do you take on more debt when you're going to be earning less money and you still have just as much to pay? It's a hard decision to make. And you guys need to understand that you have to do your own math. You can't just be spoon-fed what the right thing to do is. You have to think for yourself. Okay, that's education. Let's talk about economics. The cost of living is rising faster than incomes. There's a decline of secure pensions for those that are retired or wanting to have a secure retirement. And then the gig freelance trend. Most people are not only exploring different ways to make money on the side, right? Just like you can in my community, you could join our free community after this and start making money clipping content, like making TikToks out of this live. But that gig trend is exploding. 36% of the world freelanced in 2017. I guess the workforce, not the world, because not all the world is the workforce. So the workforce, right? That's over a third of the workforce had a side hustle. And at current trends, freelancers could be the majority by 2027. Meaning that most people have to do a couple shitty side gigs to pay their mortgage instead of being able to have a stable job, especially when AI comes in and challenges corporations on who's actually effective and who isn't. Yet traditional jobs still operate an old model, fixed hours, office presenteeism, not suited for the internet era. I want to note too that workers often lack confidence in the future of their jobs, and that's been increasing recently. Over half, 54%, are not confident their job will exist in 20 years. The majority of people, again, this can't be an opinion because this is a study that I'm reading. Over half of people feel that their job won't exist in 20 years. How the hell are you supposed to prepare for retirement? Get a pension, get Social Security going, paid into, being confident in that system, let alone funding your Roth, your IRA, your 401k. If you don't think your job's even going to exist, this inefficiency shows why people are seeking alternatives, why they need something else to fund their existence and to rely on in case times get tough. That's not even questioned anymore. It's just expected almost, because we don't even know what to be ready for because of how quick these changes are being made in our social structures. I want you to understand why systems are resisting change, because of how complex they are. First of all, how integrated our society is. We now have a global society of people that interact with each other. And so if one country fails, if the US dollar were to take a dump, every other country is going to be affected by that. I don't want that to happen. Nobody wants that to happen. Large systems like corporations or bureaucracies change slowly due to vested interests and inertia. It's hard you hear so much about innovation nowadays, but in reality, companies don't like innovation because they have to reorganize the structure that was working for them. And that changes the math. And sometimes that math isn't as good as the old math. And so they can't just welcome every change with open arms, because how the hell are you supposed to know what the butterfly effect consequences of that are going to be in 5 or 10 years? For example, there's a term in sociology. It's called conflict theory. And it notes that capitalist systems drive owners or insiders to protect their assets and status, often at the expense of workers or innovation. When times are tough, Business owners are going to lay off workers. They're going to threaten workers. They're going to threaten innovation. They're going to dial back in and get more conservative. They're going to pinch their pennies. That's just a fact of sociology. It's not a conspiracy. It's not some crazy opinion I have. It's just a fact that's been proven. It's rational self-interest. Institutions preserve what has worked for them historically. And when times are tough and you don't have the money to explore and R&D all these crazy new developments, you have to stick with what's worked. So sure, I get it, right? Does that mean I think it's the best for society? Culturally, many people fear change because stability feels safe. And so we're used to just seeking onto the old system, right? The political systems, right? We're sticking with our beliefs that we've had in the past. We don't want to accept new things anymore. The point is, I want to make a point to assure you guys that if you feel resistance when you try to change your path, when you try to step into a new side hustle outside of work, when you try to change your rhythm, when you try to work out, when you try to make any life change, it's expected, but individuals now have more tools than ever to create change regardless of who's keeping you back. There are things out there, there's communities out there, there's people out there, there's technology to get a head start on all of the changes. You don't have to be a millionaire, right, to have access to the best attorneys out there to learn how to set up an LLC. You can go do a Google search. And so, my point proven, there's technology that exists now that makes the barriers of entry a lot easier for people. Okay? Let's talk about the digital economy. I kind of want to, I hate being pessimistic, guys, so I want to add an optimistic note here. The internet and digital platforms have lowered barriers for entrepreneurs to get started. For people that want to just make content, get on TikTok, right? Do things with their life that are productive. With a laptop and Wi-Fi, anybody can really make an impact or reach a global audience. Content creation like writing, YouTube, podcasts, courses, whatever it's going to be, TikTok, and tech tools allow one person to have the impact of what used to be an entire company. And that's actually an interesting point because with AI now, you're seeing one guy in his mom's basement with the ability to make 50 videos like we teach you in our free community. And you can post all those. You can make an entire company's content with one sit-down session and the ability to re-clip that content over and over. So why are you even still trying to work for big companies, big corporations, if you could just do the same thing yourself with the right education? That's the point. I want to challenge you with that point. I'm not saying it's better for you, but I'm saying, have you thought about this? Have you thought about, well, maybe if the job market's only going to get harder and harder, I should be transitioning myself into a system that's self-sustaining, that can pivot as I deem it to, not the best interests of whoever's running that company. It's protection. It's actually better insurance than trying to double down at a really safe job. Because again, like I said, 54% of working adults don't know if their job's going to exist in 20 years. An indie app developer or a YouTuber can earn a living from home. A small e-commerce store can automate logistics. I want you guys to understand the concept of leverage, what I'm doing here. I'm live streaming on TikTok. You guys here watching this iPad. You guys watching the big stream, Rumble, Instagram, what's the other one? Rumble, Instagram, and YouTube are watching my bigger stream. So I'm live streaming on 4 different platforms right now. I have 4 times the amount of reach that I would with one platform. That's an example of leverage. I've taken one output that I would normally have by myself, and I've scaled that times 1,000, in this case times 4. But the amount of viewers, right, could be exponential. If one live stream blows up when the other ones don't, well, that's an opportunity I had because of leverage. And in this case, when we have 1,000 accounts promoting my content instead of just me, well, that's 1,000 times the amount of outreach I had. And that's exactly what happens inside of our space that I set up and what I can teach you guys to do. But I just want you to understand without it getting salesy that like Naval Ravikant's insight is apt on this. Code and media are permissionless leverage. Anything digital, right? You can create software and media that work for you while you sleep. That's what our agency does. We create automated tools for people to run their business with a click of a button. And it'll automatically, whenever someone gives them your email on their website, it'll take that email, put it in a Google Sheet automatically without you touching anything. It'll take that Google Sheet and put you into a welcome email sequence and send you 4 or 5 emails marketing your stuff. That's all automated now. It's not somebody running a social media management account. It's just automated processes that companies like mine set up for people that don't understand how. And I teach you guys how to do that for other people as well. This means that even without gatekeepers or huge capital, again, it hasn't cost me a lot of money to put this all together, a few $100. Individuals can build assets, content, software that generate income around the clock. Let's talk about your content strategy. How do we make content that actually gets people? That relates to your personal brand too, right? The personal brand, in my opinion, is your face, obviously, but it's also the message you're putting out. What is the thing you're marketing with your presence? Your presence is tied to something. It's the association between my face and the studio I have here in this podcast. It's the connection that you make to say, oh, I know Caleb. He's the podcast guy. He has the Ascended podcast where I can learn all the information on AI and trending tech and the way our world works a little bit better. And so you've associated me with this output. And in reality, having a personal brand allows you to make valuable connections, which bring in money, which bring in opportunity, bring in networking, whatever it's going to be. For those escaping the 9 to 5, creating content is a key strategy to build your credibility, but also to build your influence. It does kind of both hand in hand, and they both support each other. The more content you have, the more credible you look because they know you have a deeper understanding of this to make more content on it. So therefore, you can go deeper on issues. And when you have that, that adds more credibility, which allows you to play from that, right? And sell things and have offers, which allow more content. It kind of goes back and forth. Sharing knowledge or just documenting the journey you guys are at right now can attract opportunities. To do this, you have to find a niche that you care about. Niche, Niche. If you guys have never heard of entrepreneurship before, that's basically the category that you sit in. So it could be teaching people how to edit their YouTube videos. It could be teaching people how to train their dog, how to babysit, how to home improvement stuff, whatever it's going to be. And that's constantly producing value to back that. So like I'm live streaming, teaching you guys about AI because my community is the #1 leading agency in our niche of helping people grow in this space. We have a free community. I'm doing this to promote all of this stuff. And therefore, I'm using my personal brand to create opportunity for you guys to get involved in our free space. And eventually, some of you will upgrade into the paid space. Some of you will become agency clients. That's just the way business works. It's a numbers game. But you don't need millions of followers to succeed. I have about 10K on Instagram. I have a few thousand on TikTok, a few thousand on YouTube. Kevin Kelly's famous 1,000 True Fans framework, say that 10 times fast. Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans framework shows that even a relatively small but dedicated audience can support a full-time income. A lot of times these niche creators actually make the most money because they don't have to systematize things. They don't have to lower their product to $20 to sell it, try to sell it across 1 million followers and create a mass product. They can get really in depth and sell personalized custom services because they have the time to only handle 30 clients who can pay them a few grand a month. And typically they get a better return on investment for the content they have to create. A creator who has 1,000 true fans and the backbone of this kind of theory, right? Each willing to spend $100 per year on their offers can gross about $100,000 a year. It's just math, 100 times 1,000. So again, it's about how engaged your audience is, not how big it is. A comfortable living, right? 100 grand a year without going viral, pretty easy if you can get 1,000 people on your side. So let's talk about how do we make income online? What are some ethical and accessible ways to do that? Now that we've talked about the problems with the workforce and kind of how we want to target our approach to making money. So there's practical models for online income. And again, you want to stress keeping them ethical, right? You don't want to go start an OnlyFans because that's going to hurt your credibility in the future. You don't want to do things that are going to affect the way people see you in a negative light just for short-term gain. There's too many people that trade in that factor. And I think it's important to hold on to that credibility because you can recycle that, right? You can be the guy that's in tech. You can be the athlete, right? And then you can come back and sell offer after offer and people will keep buying it if you don't trash your reputation the first time. There's win-win approaches where you can make partnerships, you can sell offers, you can get paid to promote other people's offers while also making money yourself. They're not just get rich quick schemes, right? They're actual win-wins. And so let's talk about a few of them. The first one is affiliate marketing. Most of you have heard of this, right? But what is it? I'm going to take a sip of water. Think about that for yourself. My mouth hurts from talking. Affiliate marketing is promoting products that you truly use or trust. That's the key, and not selling bullshit and getting a commission for it when people like it just as much as you do. That's the ideal outcome. It's a huge industry. It's valued at $17 billion globally. That comes from RFs, used by 80% plus of brands. So again, 80% of brands use affiliate marketing, and it's a $17 billion industry globally. I would say that that's probably an important number to pay attention to. If 80%, 4 out of 5 brands have it, it's probably going to be important to your growth. And it's actually the cornerstone of how we grow our company. For example, a niche blogger might review software or gadgets and earn affiliate revenue, right? You've seen those videos of people reviewing a computer mouse here, and they have the link to it in their bio, and you can go buy that, and they're going to get 10% of that sale of that mouse because they were the one that brought the sale to the company. And the company didn't have to pay the person until they actually brought a sale to them. So it's amazing because you're just encouraging people to buy more stuff and to spend more money, and then you're getting money without having to actually make the mouse or sell the mouse. So I guess kind of drop shipping, right? Of just sales, right? You're just helping sell. And we, again, teach you guys how to do that. There's an in-depth video and a full link that you guys can use to make $500 every time someone says yes by selling our stuff in our free community. The link's in my bio. Let's talk about user-generated content, or UGC. It's a huge industry. There's a rising opportunity where everyday creators make content like short videos, photos, testimonials that brands buy to use in marketing. You don't need a big following. Brands care about the quality of your content and not the quantity. For example, Kelly R., a 28-year-old UGC creator, put her services out that she would make videos for brands. And I'll tell you guys, it's disproportionate. Women tend to just make more money doing this because men and women listen to women. Not a lot of men give other men attention because a lot of men are out here promoting bullshit, but men will listen to a woman that's attractive, that has a good message. And so companies pay women a lot of money to push their offers. That's just the truth of it. Again, not an opinion because it's the fact. But Kelly R. made $100,000 in 2022 working 10 to 15 hours a week, creating content for clients. Charge $200 for a video, do that like 3 or 4 times in a week, right? That's like $800. It's $3,200 a month. It's pretty good income for, again, 4 or 5 hours a week. That shows how someone's leveraging skills in the attention economy can escape a traditional schedule yet earn a high income. 100K a month in addition to what you're making now is what seeds growth into a bigger business venture, investments, right? A 401k. If you do that for 5 years, that's $500,000 in a retirement account that can compound over the next 20 years. And then you're done. You made it in 5 years. You just have to learn the skill, and you have to have somebody that can teach you how to do that. Next is online courses or coaching. You know what? This one gets so much hate. The courses, the guru guys that teach stuff. I have my own course, guys. It's in my bio. I also teach you how to do the basics for free. So I hate the people that complain about course sellers are the people that probably would do courses too. The people that would actually make their own course, because they're just a lot of times frustrated that they don't know how to do it themselves and they don't have a skill they can teach. Look, colleges are the foundation of this. We're overpaying college tuition nowadays in the US to get free courses. And like I just said, only 2 out of 5 people think they were prepared for their job afterwards. Most of it is just bullshit nowadays. We're paying money for institutions to teach us scammy courses. So you're going to go spend 80K on an education and then complain when the guru is charging $300 to teach you an entire education on stock trading. It just doesn't make sense. And if you're going to comment shit on that, then I mean, so be it. But you have to understand you're getting played otherwise. If you think that that's anywhere different from college, right? The same technical skills are becoming more and more important nowadays, and companies are starting to transition to caring more about the actual skills instead of the degree. So you could say the piece of paper, the diploma matters, but it probably doesn't as much as you think in these technical jobs. If you can package your knowledge into a coaching or consulting service like we do, in this case, it's AI and building that, and you can pair it with actually implementation. So you can, I could show you, I can give you the courses on how to stock trade, but I can also walk through you on a mentorship program to teach that to you. I don't do that, but again, I work with coaches that do. If you have expertise, it can even just be a hobby to start. Like if you like golf, you can teach golfing. You can teach it via platforms like Teachable, WAP, Discord. This scales your impact. You create a course once and can sell it for years. The key is to focus on solving specific problems for a specific audience. So if you don't identify what problem you're solving and for what audience, and more importantly, how you're going to stand out from every other creator out there, then you're not going to have a winning business. So we teach you guys how to do that as well and how to sell it using AI, where AI can handle people's objections and make them convinced to buy it. It's actually a reality we live in now. Next is freelancing and consulting, slightly different. This is the more straightforward path, using your skills like writing, design, coding, marketing to freelance. While it's still trading time for money, freelancing offers flexibility and often higher pay per hour than just salaried work. Because typically, right, they pay you $150 to edit a YouTube video. There's technology that could help you do that in like 20 minutes. So $150 for 20 minutes of work is $450 an hour. You're not going to earn that at any job unless you have 12 years of education post, high school. Maybe, probably not even doing that unless you're like a neurosurgeon. It can also be a bridge to more scalable income, like freelancing to quit your job and then gradually productizing your services, creating templates, digital products, agencies. That's literally what we're doing, guys. And if you don't think I'm credible for that, look in the link in my bio. I have a whole system set up teaching this stuff and doing this stuff. So, I mean, if I could teach you how to do what I just did, it's pretty obvious because the proof is right in front of you. Next is digital products and e-commerce. So selling things like ebooks, templates, printables, and software. These have an upfront creation cost, right? Because you have to take time and money and pay for graphics and things like that. It's pretty low though. It's probably a few $100. But then effectively unlimited inventory to sell. You're selling a PDF, which you just copy and paste a link. Even a small digital product that earns $500 a month is significant supplementary income and is a semi-passive once it's established. Finally, monetization as a creator, doing live streams like this, doing TikToks, getting paid to promote brands is kind of like affiliate marketing though. But even a YouTube channel with 50,000 subscribers can earn a few $1,000s a month in ad revenue, and a Patreon with just a few hundred fans on Patreon. So if that sounds good to you guys, there's a lot of opportunity out here. I'm going to kind of skip down to some case studies. Actually, we're going to skip down to the daily statistics. Now, the point of this section on the daily statistics, it's not to scare you guys. I don't want to make you guys afraid of where we're at. I kind of do because that's going to make you pay attention, but I want to give you a solution with it. I'm not just here to make you feel bad after I take a sip of water. Facts. These are all facts from Gallup, most of them. Some come from like ABC News, other things like that. Work disengagement. Only 23% of global employees, this whole damn sphere we live on, the globe, 23%. That's, a quarter about. Meaning about 77% of people, the other part, are not engaged or actively engaged because 23% are. Low engagement isn't just a morale issue. It costs the global economy about $8.8 trillion in lost productivity. That's 9% of the global output. So we're losing 10% efficiency as a human race because people like to sit on their phones. That's great if you're the person sitting on your phone. It's bad if you're the company owner. It's bad if you have to rely on human effort to scale your business. The miserable jobs impact. Gallup research found that having a job you hate is worse than being unemployed, as it spills over into personal life and it harms well-being. When you come home shitty from work and you just have a bad mindset, take it out on your wife and your kids, and it affects the rest of your existence that day. In other words, the wrong job can literally make you more unhappy than no job at all. A stark sign that the 9-to-5 system can be psychologically fucking destructive. stat. I'm just reading from a study. Burnout prevalence. A 2023 Deloitte, Deloitte survey. Yeah. 77% of professionals said they had experienced burnout at their current job. 77%. That's almost 4 out of 5 people. Burnout at their current job. And this was before the pandemic's remote work stress. This was before that impacted anything. Burnout has only become more common as work bleeds into home life. It's because I think people are also getting lazier and people don't have their own systems or their belief in what they're doing, which is why now more than ever, build your own system. Find a community of people that can support you and change your life. I can go on and on about the benefits of my community. You can join my space, you can join any other creator's space, but learn something outside. Invest in yourself. Stop investing in beer. Stop investing in partying. Stop investing in materialistic fucking goods until you have the means to, that aren't going to change your life. I'm sorry, guys. It's just some of you guys need to pay attention. I got to be like in your face to show you that. The Great Resignation trend. A record 47 million Americans quit their jobs in 2021, the highest ever recorded. This trend continued in 2022 with 50 million more quits. The Great Resignation indicates a massive reevaluation of work. People are leaving unsatisfying jobs in droves, seeking better opportunities or better work-life balance. The problem is they're probably not going to find it because the system is weighted, right? There's this greater despair between the rich and the poor, and the quality of life that means is as the rich get more, the poor get less, and therefore the poor's quality of life is going to go down because they're competing over less resources, less piece of the pie. And so you're not going to find that at another company. You have to create it for yourself. An Upwork study estimated, again, a third of the US workforce freelanced in 2017. They predict that by 2027, which we're 2 years out from, half of workers could be freelancing. Already near half of millennials freelance. So our generation is already doing that. I just want you guys to pay attention to these facts. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Warren Buffett said that. That's a blunt reminder from one of the world's most successful investors that earning decoupled from time is crucial for financial freedom. There's 3 layers of sovereignty. You have financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. You can get financial freedom, but if you don't have the time to enjoy it, what's your life? And also, if you can't go where you want, if you're still subject to someone else's location limitations, you're also not really free, are you? It underscores the importance of passive or scalable income. And creating a brand, creating a face and an entity that could sell all around the clock as long as content exists for you, that's where you create financial freedom. And so you have to create a system or get handed a blueprint by somebody who already has, which you're looking at right now. A wealth of information means a poverty of attention. A wealth of information means a poverty of attention. It comes from Herbert A. Simon. It's a 1971 quote that predicted the attention economy problem. Look how true it is. That's from 1971, before the internet. A wealth of information means a poverty of attention. We've just been given ChatGPT, unlimited information. How is our attention span? How is your ability to pay attention to this live stream, to actually dial in and learn something? Very low. And I'm working my ass off to create good content for you guys to watch just to keep it interesting enough. But you guys are on the CoComelon train of having your brain so rotten in you can't even pay attention to a basic fucking sentence. I can't change that for you. You have to be the one to want the change. You have to work on it because you've been poisoned and put in an environment where you just didn't have that skill like your parents did growing up, where they didn't have to have the stimulus. It provides context for why practices like digital minimalism and deep work are vital, why all the successful people value focus over anything else, why they won't let anyone take that from them. The 9 to 5 is like a modern serfdom if you're not careful. We live in this modern feudalism where lords, right, keep serfs, right, like you would see back in the day, indebted to them in different ways, loans or 401k pensions or low income that's just enough to get by. If you owe your prime hours to someone else's cause, then that's going to affect the trajectory of your life. You might be right now and you might not have the means to control that, but why don't we work on that? This could be in it's not about I'm not trying to demonize employers or companies. I'm just trying to highlight that giving the bulk of your time to a job, literally, like this is just how it works. When you give time to a job, you leave limited time for your own goals. And obviously nobody wants that. It's just the reality we live in when we have school and work and we're trying to make it and be successful. We have to fit that in with the more important things that we're still stuck in the system doing, school or education or a 9 to 5. And so nobody's at fault for wanting to do both, but you have to do both because you will not be able to nurture. Think of it like another person, right? Like that's why like the people that marry and settle down and have kids as soon as possible in their life are literally affecting this because you're giving birth to an entity. And legally, yes, it is another entity. An LLC is a registered person that makes income because they pay taxes, you don't. And you can separate those two or you can keep them together. I guess that'd be more of a corporation, right? If it's its own thing. But you can structure a business as its own life form that's legal and pays its own taxes, and then you can be your own person and pay your own taxes, and you can decide how much those two things interlap, and that's kind of how you hack the tax structures and things like this. But if you guys are if you guys are trying to nurture something into the world, just like a child, right? You have to put a lot of time, attention, energy into a business to make sure it gets off the ground, like a plane, right? You have to pick up speed enough so that the wings can actually take flight. There's enough drag and lift under that to actually bring the plane into air. Otherwise, you're just going to crash at the end of the runway and wonder why your life sucks. Okay, so we have to nurture this and we have to understand that you can't be doing all the other things that pull you away when you're in this stage of getting the plane to take off. Once it's taken off, sure, still be careful, but put some time back into it. But when you're taking off, could be 6 months, could be 6 years, could be 6 weeks. I don't know how long that's going to take because I don't know the business, the industry you're in, but I can tell you the formula to make it happen. I just can't control how fast you blow up. But I can tell you most people will. And as long as you stick with it, you're going to see the end of that runway from the air and not crashing into it. If you guys need a community of people, again, that's what we do. Work smarter and not harder is not a cliche anymore. It's literally how people win now. You have to not only know what you're doing in the business to take you there, but you have to create leverage using technology, using AI to increase your output by 50 times because other people are now. And you can't exist and you can't beat those people because you are competing for the same people's attention. There's only so many people on the earth watching and scrolling at one time. And it's either your video or someone else's. And I hate to say we're all in this together. We are in a lot of ways, like we're impacting on each other. But that also means that we're also all in this together. And so everyone else is in the same thing you are in. And if you want to capture one person's attention, everyone else is doing the same thing. It could be in real life. It could be them wanting to hang out with them, or it could be a video on their phone. But you need to be smarter. You need to leverage yourself with technology. And the link to do that's in my bio. Finally, if you're not building your dream, someone else will hire you to build theirs. It's a quote. I didn't come up with it. It's a popular saying in entrepreneurship circles, but reigns true more than ever. When you work a traditional job, you're helping fulfill the company owner's vision. Now, you might like where the company is, you might like their culture, but did you want the same thing they wanted? And do you benefit the same that they benefit? You might be okay with what they're paying you, but you're understanding that you're putting your life aside to be a player in someone else's monopoly game. You're not playing the game yourself. And so when you die, all you did was be the one to move the piece, not the one to roll the dice, essentially. There's nothing wrong with employment. I'll say that, but it's a good state. Everyone has to start with money, right? Because you need money to buy yourself the time and keep your bills paid while you work on something real. That's why there's such a rush to do it before you're 18 when your parents kick you out of the house. You should live with your parents as long as possible now if they don't hate you, because save the money and put into something to, snowball faster. This quote nudges, and I mean me, but also should nudge you guys